So, you're struggling with storing your video projects. You started filming videos for your business, and they're taking up all the storage space on your computer. Or the files are all over the place and media's going missing. I've been there before, and it sucks. I struggled with file storage for the longest time, and after so much trial and error, I figured out a way to keep everything organized and backed up. We're going to go over your folder structure, external hard drive options, and when it's time to go big and get a NAS drive. I'm going to break it all down and how I got to this point. So, if storing your projects is driving you crazy, then stick around. I think I can help. Storing your video project files is confusing. It adds up quickly and it needs to be organized. When I started my business, I started making a lot more content. My old system of storing my project files just wasn't working. The files were all over the place and things went missing. I needed to make a change. So I came up with a system to organize and back everything up. To properly store your projects, start with a good folder structure on your computer. Would you believe that I didn't have a good folder structure in place until a few months ago? For the longest time, it just wasn't a priority. When I started this business, I started making a lot of content. I didn't have a good folder management structure set up. Files would go missing or even accidentally deleted, and it absolutely killed my productivity. So I came up with a folder structure that works for me. Now I can easily find all of my project files. So this is how I structure my folders. First, I start with the main folder for your projects. This can be in your video folder or your desktop, just wherever works for you. Within this folder, I have 3 folders. One for unfinished, one for active, and one for finished. This is to help keep all of my projects organized by their status. All of the projects that you're currently working on should be in the active folder. Move the whole project folder from the active folder to the finished folder when the project is done and posted. The unfinished folder is for projects that are either on hold or never completed. Pretty straightforward? So let's head into the active folder. In here you can see this is where I have my individual project folders. The project folders are named starting with the date, year, then month, then date. The date that you're putting should be the scheduled publishing date for this video. After the date, I'll put the client's name. If you're making videos for yourself, then you may not need this part. It's up to you. And the last part is your video title. Keeping your folders named in this way will help you keep track of your projects by the release date. It helps me quickly reference what I need to be working on in order. Inside each of the project folders, I have 4 other folders set up. The first folder is for all of your audio. In here we have separate folders for your music, sound effects, and voiceover. The next folder is for your finished projects. Just make sure you put your finished file in here. Then I have a miscellaneous folder for all of your images and graphics. Then last up is the video folder. In here we have folders for your clips, downloaded videos, and screen recordings. We'll keep all of your video files in the clips folder. If you have multiple cameras, set up folders for each camera. If you don't have multiple cameras, then just put folders for your A-roll and your B-roll. Now we've got all of our projects organized and good to go. It's all on my computer and organized. I'm done, right?
Wrong!
You need to back up your footage. If you don't,
You're gonna have a bad time.
let me tell you why. Have you ever had your computer crash on you? I was in the middle of working on a project when my computer totally crashed, and I lost everything. I couldn't run that risk again. So I bought an external hard drive to back everything up. Now if my computer crashes, I don't lose everything. And this is how I integrated an external hard drive into my workflow. First, figure out what kind of drive you need. When picking out your hard drive, keep a few things in mind. How much space do you need? How much video content are you creating? You can get an idea by checking the storage space on your hard drive and checking the average project size. You might not need a lot of space, and an extra 500 gigs should be enough. Or maybe you're burning through your hard drive faster than you think, and you need something a little more substantial. Something like 10 terabytes might be a little more up your speed. I usually try and get the largest drive I can afford. Speaking of cost, how much can you afford? You may not have a large budget set aside for this. And hard drives aren't too expensive these days. Somewhere in the $50 to $200 range is a good place to start. It all just depends on how much space you need and how fast you need it to be. It's a compromise between speed, capacity, and cost. It can be fast and large capacity, but it's going to be expensive. It can be cheap and large, but it's going to be slow. It can be cheap and fast, but it's going to be small. So pick your compromise. If you're just backing up your projects, speed doesn't really matter. And pick up the largest capacity you can afford, especially at this stage. Now that you've got a drive, let's get it into your workflow. First, I would make a copy of my project folder as soon as it's created. This copy would go into an active folder on your external hard drive. And I'll keep the original project folder on my computer. It's a lot easier to edit a project when the files are on your computer. These external drives are too slow to edit directly off of, unless you're buying a solid-state drive, which is a lot more expensive. The bandwidth of spinning drives is not enough for an editing app to use, so these drives are just for backing everything up. Now save a copy of your project file here, and you're safe. If something happens to your computer, you still have your fully organized project folder, ready to open right back up into your app. I would buy a new drive every year and store everything that I did for that year on it and throw it into storage. And this system worked well for me for years. That was until it started to break down. It was only at this point that it was time for me to take it to the next level. You're probably thinking, wait, there's another level? When I started my business, I started making a lot of content. My old system of storing finished projects on my external hard drives just wasn't keeping up, and so it was time to take it to the next level. I did some research and ended up buying myself a NAS drive. Now, I have so much storage space and I can edit directly off of it too. Here's how I integrated it into my workflow. First, figure out what you need. But what is a NAS drive? Well, NAS stands for Network Attached Storage. These are modular, multi-bay hard drive computers. They have their own CPU and RAM for caching, and they're capable of some crazy capacities using the RAID storage formatting. A NAS drive can be connected to your home or office internet connection as well. So you can access your drive through the Wi-Fi or fast Ethernet connection. But they can be pretty pricey though. Plan on spending at least $500 to $1,000. It wasn't cheap, but it had everything that I needed. I wanted storage that I could directly edit off of and share with other people. So, with large capacities, fast direct connection, and network connections, this fit my workflow perfectly. Now we need to figure out our connections. My goal was to have all of my project files on the NAS drive and edit directly off of those files. I thought my Wi-Fi connection would be fast enough, but boy was I wrong. Even with a 1 gigabit Wi-Fi connection, it wasn't enough. So I checked to see what the fastest connection that I could get off of my Ugreen NAS drive was. The Ugreen NAS DXP2800 has a maximum connection of 2.5 gigabits. So I picked up a 2.5 gigabit USB dongle. Then I connected it to a 2.5 gigabit RJ45 hub, which connects directly to the NAS drive and the internet. And now I have faster transfer speeds. Now that you've got all that set, there's one more thing that you might need. My NAS drive was all set up for optimal speeds, or so I thought. Yet I was still running into speed issues. So I texted my brother. He's an IT expert. He told me I was having a caching issue and that I needed to add some solid state storage to help with the caching. So I bought two 8 terabyte drives and boom, faster speeds. The fast speeds of the solid state drives act like a buffer. It takes in the data first, quickly, and then transfers it to the slower drives. If you're going for maximum speed, add some solid state storage. Okay, so you've got the best connection and some solid state cache. Let's get this linked up. With my NAS drive connected properly, I wanted to pick the right RAID format. There are a bunch of types of RAID formatting, and I needed to pick out which one was the best for me. After doing some research, I went with RAID 0, which maximizes the speed but has no redundancy. So it's not the safest option, which is why I still back up everything to an external hard drive. It works for now. It was a long journey to get from storing my project files all over my computer down to a well-oiled machine. Proper storage techniques have saved my ass more times than I can count. Start by getting your folder structure set up first on your computer. Then back everything up to external hard drives. And when you've scaled beyond external hard drives, invest in a NAS drive. Now, go fill up that brand new storage and subscribe so you don't miss my next video, which is actually I'm posting all of this stuff. Bingo bango.